and Kate. Mission. It's a good job that so many of you appreciate that I leave all my mistakes in, because I've been making loads lately. Hello and welcome to this video. I'm Marcus Hayes, and today I'm going to be heading over to my other garage to pull the ST170 engine out of Esther, my Mk1 Escort. Now, those of you who have watched the last couple of videos will know why, but the data from the last video I actually accidentally deleted from my SD card, and at the moment I'm trying to recover the data. So I've paid for this recovery thing, and I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to get the files back. But yeah, if I can't recover that data, I will film another video showing exactly what I found wrong with Esther's engine. So you would have already seen that, or seen the video that I made with this data that I'm hoping to recover before this video. So yeah, if you haven't seen the last couple of videos, definitely go and watch those, and I'll see you back here afterwards. Now, so far this recovery is on 47%, but I'm just going to leave that working and head to the garage now because it's already 1:45 in the afternoon. Alright, so Esther is out of the garage. I have removed a couple of other parts since the last time you see Esther on the channel, but I just want to show you something that I just did. I mentioned before that the clip for the rod for the door handle was missing, and this rod actually came out while the car was in the garage and I couldn't undo the door. Well, I've fitted that little clip on there now. I couldn't see any online that were listed for a Mk1 Escort specifically, but I bought this sort of multi-pack. Comes with 4 different types, 4 of each, and none of them are correct, but this was the only one where this bit is a tight fit in the hole in the latch, but the rod is too thick to fit into that slot and into the hole in the middle. So I've opened that hole up with a drill, and I used a Stanley blade to open up that slit a bit. Yeah, the rod seems like it's on there tight-ish now. I may end up putting a blob of araldite across there just to make sure that the rod doesn't pop out. But to be honest, I would actually like to get a set of actual Mk1 Escort clips. So if any of you guys know of anyone that sells them, or if any of you guys have got some for sale, definitely let me know in the comments. Now, since the last video, I have removed the radiator. I've also removed the exhaust manifold. I've left the rest of the exhaust on. And yeah, just been generally moving the wiring loom out the way and stuff like that. There's a couple of more bits that I want to remove before I actually start thinking about removing the engine. And I'm actually going to try and remove the engine with the gearbox still attached to the car. Now, those of you who watch my videos will know that that's not the way I usually remove engines from my cars. I normally like to drop them down with the gearbox attached. But yeah, I'm hoping this time I will just be able to pull the engine out on its own. So I'm going to remove all the stuff from the front of the engine just so you've got more room for the engine to come forward, and that's the reason that I removed the radiator. And yeah, I might move the slave cylinder out of the way and just leave that sitting on top of the bell housing, and yeah, just move anything else out of the way that I can think of. And then I'm going to jack the car up and drain the oil, remove the starter motor, and start taking the bolts out that connect the bell housing to the engine. Right, so Esther's engine is looking a bit more bare now. I've taken everything I can off of the front to give me a bit more room. The oil is drained, I've taken every bell housing bolt out except for this one here, and this one here that you can see are actually holding the adapter plate for the RX-8 gearbox to the engine. So yeah, that's the only one I've actually got to remove to get the engine off the gearbox. I've taken the nuts off of both of the engine mounts, and yeah, she's pretty much ready to pull out. There's a couple of things I'm worried about. Firstly, because of the weight of the flywheel, I've got a feeling that once I've disconnected it from the gearbox, it's going to tilt that way. And the other thing is, I'm not actually sure if it's got enough room to come forward to actually disconnect the input shaft from the gearbox from the clutch. So I'm probably going to need to lower the cross member. That's why you would have seen me just take the anti-roll bar brackets off, so that that's got room to move down. And I disconnected the steering knuckle, so that yeah, that'll all enable me to lower the cross member when the time comes. I can't do that until I've obviously taken the weight of the engine. And the other thing I'm worried about is the gearbox itself. Because the mount is right at the back of the gearbox, I've got a feeling that once the engine and gearbox are disconnected, the front of the gearbox is going to want to go downwards. So for now, I've got an axle stand taking the weight of the gearbox. But yeah, later on when it comes to putting the car back in the garage and stuff, probably going to have to think of some sort of way of holding the front of the gearbox upwards. It might be all right, I don't know yet, but yeah, that's something to think about. Might have to just tie it to my strut brace mounts or something, just so I can actually push the car back in the garage. Now, one thing I could do to stop the engine tilting back, as I said, because of the weight of the flywheel and that, is actually refit the head to the bottom end, and then I'll be able to actually hoist the engine out using the lifting eyes, which you can see here on Maud's Zetec engine. And I'll actually have to use these ones because I've only got one set. Not going to worry about the torque. Pretty sure having 10 of these bolts in, even finger tight, would be enough. My beautiful girlfriend Kat is here, just in time for the fun part. Hopefully going to pull the engine out in a minute. And she's very kindly brought me a Costa coffee and a bag of crisps and some Italian cakes. Oh, and the batteries for my gun. Been doing everything by hand today. I'm just gonna eat all my munch, drink my coffee, and then we'll get the engine hoist out. It's actually banging.
Dad made them.
Alright, pump it.
Oh, okay. I was thinking, how much weight do I put into this?
That do?
Yeah.
Down a little bit, twist the knob. Right, do that. That's it. Right, so now the weight of the engine is being taken by the hoist. I can undo the cross member bolts. Steering column won't come out of the knuckle. There you go. Yeah, I've managed to get the steering column out of the knuckle now, which in theory will allow the cross member to go down a little bit lower. This side, the engine mount is almost at the top of the slot of the cross member, and on this side it's actually above the top of the slot. We'll see how far we can get with it. Obviously we can't raise the engine up much because of this water rail bit. I could have removed this obviously before I put the cylinder head back on, but you know, I want this to be a test to see if I'm able to get the other engine in the same way that I'm taking this one out, so that's why I've left that on there. Just remembered I haven't undone this last bell housing bolt, which again would be easier with the head off, but obviously when I put the new engine in, I'm not going to be putting it in without the head on. Now this bolt has one of two dowel insert things, I think that's what they're called, but basically they make sure that the gearbox is central to the crank of the engine. Yeah, it's awkward, but oh, this is no fun. Well, that was a mission. Yeah, I wish this, you know, had a hex on it or something so I could get a socket on it. Sweet. Yeah, it's quite cross member. It needs to go down there. Yeah, I'm going to remove the cross member bolts completely. Oh. Okay, so yeah, cross member's just hanging down a lot lower than I thought it would. Should have put a jack under it. I think the engine will come out now though. Oh, there we go, we're free. We are free. Clear?
Yeah, flowers.
Sure?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Empty carcass.
Right, so what I need to do now is make sure that I'm able to roll the car back into the garage. So we'll just put that shaft back in there like that. And now I want to see if this gearbox is going to sit like that when I've got the axle stand out from underneath it. So I'm going to jack the gearbox up and then move the axle stand out. Yeah, as I expected. Although it's only dropped to there. I mean, I'd imagine that that might be sort of putting a bit too much strain on the gearbox mount, maybe even possibly on the prop shaft where it's going into the back of the gearbox. But I know that I can at least roll the car back in the garage and then I can put the axle stand back under it so that it's not under strain, you know, for days and days and days. So yeah, I'm happy with that. I'll just put the axle stand under it for now. Right, so mission accomplished. We have one empty engine bay in Esther, and here is her old ST170 engine, which will join the Zetec engine scrapyard that is this corner of my garage. So Esther will now be getting Maud's ST170 engine, which I'm kind of glad I didn't get round to fitting to Maud yet. And that engine is pretty much ready to go in. You know, I've changed loads of gaskets on it and stuff. Reluctantly, I'm going to have to use this very low quality rear-wheel drive Zetec sump that is fitted to Esther's old engine. I'm going to order myself a new inlet manifold gasket. I'll obviously get a brand new exhaust manifold gasket as well. And I'm going to get another gasket for the thermostat housing or water rail piece here. I'm thinking I might actually see if I can get a fitting for this part of the water rail that is actually a tight fit on the hoses that I've got, rather than having to use this sort of rubber ghetto reducer. Going to need to remove this adapter plate and put that on the other engine so that the Mazda box will bolt up to it. Obviously going to be using these retro forward mounts as well. I'm going to be using this flame trap because I had to modify it slightly to clear the slave cylinder for the hydraulic clutch. And obviously I'll be stripping this engine for spares in general, you know, taking all this off, taking the crank sensor and cam sensor. Now there is one thing I want to do while the engine's out the way, and that is enlarge the holes on this bulkhead plate for the heater pipes. Obviously originally the heater pipes would poke through and the Jubilee clip would be here, but the way I've got it is the Jubilee clips are actually on the inside, and yeah, the hole in this plate is not that much bigger than the actual diameter of the pipe, so I'm worried that that might sort of cut into it eventually. So yeah, I'm going to enlarge the holes in that plate while the engine's out the way, and it'll also give me an opportunity to clean this engine bay up where I did have a coolant leak from the thermostat housing. But yeah, all that can wait for another day. What I'm going to do now is put Esther back in the garage, and we're going to have another look at the misfire issue that we've got on Winston, the plastic Fiesta. So where the gearbox is obviously down a little bit, it's hard to roll the car. Now what I'm guessing is happening, because the front of the gearbox is down, the rear of the gearbox is up, so the prop shaft I think is actually rubbing on the transmission tunnel at the back. So I'm going to need to lift this up somehow to even roll the car in the garage. Ooh, stick the handbrake on. Yeah, there's a nice little bit sticking out here that will hook around.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Alright, let's let the jack down and see if it's any better. controller. Oh, I forgot to hook the end roll bar back up. It's a good job that so many of you appreciate that I leave all my mistakes in, because I've been making loads lately. Now, because this car, well, in fact, both of my cars are running rose jointed adjustable track control arms, the wheel is able to move about in the front arch if you haven't got the anti-roll bar hooked up. And I disconnected it earlier and forgot to hook it back up. And basically, when I was pushing the car in the garage, I could hear the tyre rubbing on the wing here. And luckily, it hasn't cracked the fiberglass wing and it hasn't damaged the paint or anything, so I got away with it. But yeah, that could have been quite bad. That could have been another load of paintwork getting done on the front end of Esther. So I've put 2 bolts in each anti-roll bar bracket, and that will hold it all together for now. And while we're on the subject of the anti-roll bar, there is one thing I noticed the other day, that the anti-roll bar is bent, and I found the same thing with Maud's anti-roll bar. But I was thinking the other day, I think that might be something to do with having the adjustable track control arms. Now obviously, as you adjust the track control arms, you know, you basically lengthen them, which gives the wheels camber. So if you imagine, if you're lengthening the track control arm, you're essentially making the bit of the anti-roll bar that goes like that, you're basically opening it out like that, and the same the other side. And if you imagine, you know, that's a bar that's this sort of shape. If you're bending those bits out, it is inevitably gonna bend in the middle. So I don't think that's actually an issue, the fact that this anti-roll bar and Maud's anti-roll bar is bent. I think it's all just down to having adjustable track control arms and adding camber. But yeah, Esther's now safely in the garage. I just need to get the engine hoist back into this garage, and then we can crack on with Winston. This time we've got 4 used injectors, which are definitely exactly the same as the ones that are fitted to Winston. So yeah, hopefully today we'll solve Winston's misfire issues. Just like before, just need to remove the fuel rail, which is just attached by 2 bolts.
Oh no.
There you go. First, let's just confirm. Yeah, O-rings look good on the new one. Bit of lube. Yeah, it's got to go in the slot of the injector. There you go. Have a look. Inspect my work.
Yeah, I suppose your work's alright.
I'll let you put it back together. Go for it. Yeah, it's definitely bouncing. Yeah, he definitely seems to be misfiring still. I think we're just going to switch out all the other injectors just to rule that out. And this time I realised that you can take the wiring off and then take the fuel rail off.
Oh, makes it a bit easier.
That's probably the way you're supposed to do it. Well, it got dark around the garage, so I stopped filming. But yeah, we put Winston back together. Nothing made a difference in terms of fitting the new injectors, so I'm not even sure that it's actually the injectors at fault. Maybe it could be the injector wiring. But yeah, the only thing that's making me still think it's something to do with the injectors is the fact that the scanner at one point did come up and say cylinder 2 misfire, and then someone in the comments of a previous video said that if it can tell you what cylinder it is, it must be the injector rather than, you know, the core pack or leads or anything like that. A lot of people keep commenting in the videos and sending me messages saying that it's definitely the coil pack. And yeah, I really appreciate anyone sending me advice, but we did try and change the core pack and that didn't solve anything. I did try and swap the lead on cylinder 2 for one of Maud's leads, again because the scanner pointed me towards cylinder 2 and that made no difference. But yeah, I haven't tried putting a full set of leads on Winston, and I haven't tried changing the spark plugs yet. So that might be something I try in the future. But yeah, he runs sweet. It's just literally that slight misfire at idle. So hopefully the problem will get worse and then I'll be able to pinpoint it a bit easier. But hey ho, that's the way it goes. I am glad that I got Esther's engine out today, and I am planning to go back round the garage tomorrow because I've got at least one job I want to do on Esther, and I need to write a shopping list for all the gaskets and stuff that I need to put the other ST170 into Esther, because I really want to do that next weekend. And I also need to have a bit of a tidy up around the garages, and I'm hoping to spend a little bit more time on my dad's Mark III. So yeah, busy day planned for tomorrow. You'll be able to see that in the next video. Right now, my beautiful girlfriend Kat is making us some pork chops for dinner, which I'm really looking forward to. But for now, I'm going to end this video here. If you did think it was any good, please do give it a thumbs up and a share. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Click subscribe to keep up to date with all my future uploads, and check the links in the description to my social media accounts and my website. I'll also leave my email address down there for anyone who wants to contact me. Massive thanks to everyone for your continued support of my channel. But other than that, until next time, from me and my beautiful girlfriend Kat, thanks for watching.